I have had the most fun experience working on an album.
More so than anything else, the best part about it was just make something that I love with the person I love.
Okay, so we're gonna have a little chat at, I guess it's your home right now.
Welcome to our home. Our home.
Fair enough.
So I love just getting to sit here and actually talk about music with you. Our new album is called I Said I Love You First. This album didn't even feel like making an album because we we recorded 99.9% of it here.
Yeah, I forget what day exactly it was when you came up to me and said that you had the idea, or an idea, for I Love You First.
I remember you playing me a demo. We were driving and you were playing me a demo and you were so sad. And I was like, I was wondering why you're so sad. And you actually, like, a tear came from your eye.
Really?
Yeah. And
why do I have no recollection?
And I remember you saying, you were like, I don't know if I can do music anymore.
Yeah.
And you were like, I feel like I've said everything and done everything I want to do. And you're so fortunate that you have been in it for so long and released so many different types of things.
Yeah,
and,
now I remember that.
Yeah, and then I remember having a meeting with my managers and my label, maybe half a week after that. And I had all these songs that were awesome that I was putting out as singles for myself, but I felt like they didn't really represent where I was. And I was like, well, these songs, they're not about my life. They're about so many different things now because my life has changed so much. I remember having this aha moment where I was listening to Bonnie and Clyde by Jay-Z and Beyonce, and I was like, wait, it'd be so cool if we did an album together. And I remember when I came and asked you, I was so nervous because
That's so funny.
But I remember exactly where I was. I was on the phone with you and I was in that room. I was like, why don't we just do something together? And then you were like, really? You're like,
I know, but I also was nervous too, equally.
Yeah.
Because that's a big, not only do I respect you as a person, but I respect you as an artist, and it's a big deal and something to take on that it's on a different level than I do. And it was kind of duh afterwards, but I was just a little nervous, I guess. Is that normal?
Yeah, no, I definitely was nervous because I didn't want it to affect our relationship. And I remember saying it to you.
Yeah.
First off, I was like...
But I think we're at the point where, if it did, we would say something.
Well, that's what we said. And I remember when we first got in and we started doing it, obviously I've worked with you so many other times, it just flowed so quickly and easily. I remember just being able to sit with you and you'd wake up from a dream and then we'd talk and we'd write it all down. It would be a journal session, and it just, everything started flowing so well. And I felt like, A, it was the best music we could have made together, and B, it made me feel even closer to you, not only because we could be in the same room and play all day.
Yeah, but we get to do what we love with who we love.
Yeah, and I felt like I could just, I could ask you anything because it's in the context of a song. You're like, well, how did you feel in this situation in your life? How did you feel? And also, it made me realize how good our communication skills are.
Well, yeah, I don't feel like it was hard in any way because I understood your kind of point of view of things. And I think you're just really helpful. You're not extremely critical. You're able to pull out what makes my voice unique. And I don't know, I guess I did trust that process. Obviously, yeah, I think our communication is great. I love you. I don't know, I wanted to make sure we were good. And
yeah,
it just seemed very effortless. I don't think people know how long we did it in such a short, this is probably the quickest album I've ever done.
It's definitely the quickest album
that you've done. Is it the same for you?
Yes. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it seemed like towards the end it was starting to get crazy that we had all this material and
Most albums take like 8 years. Like it takes me so long to do
yeah.
an album. Also, I felt like we had the same sensibilities. Like usually when you're doing an album with someone, you're like butting heads so many different times. I felt like very rarely would we butt heads. And then like if we did on something, you would have like a perfect response. And I was like, fuck. All right, I guess we're not doing that song. Like, and it would just like made sense, and it was easy, and it felt good.
I think it was because there wasn't really an ego between us.
Yeah, it was definitely a
It's helpful.
leave your ego at the door.
So do you know how to get us there?
No, but I will. Oh yeah.
So how we became a couple, in my eyes, if I may share.
Okay.
It was when we were doing a song called Single Soon. When you came into the studio, I don't know, you started talking and we were breaking the ice, but it wasn't just, the reason why I felt comfortable is because it wasn't just a conversation between me and you privately. It was like a group of people and I felt comfortable around those people.
Yeah.
And you texted me that you had a good time and I texted you back.
When I went in there, I wasn't even thinking about like dating you. I was literally.
Well, neither was I.
No, but I was literally trying to hook you up with my friends.
Yeah, that's
I remember I was like, oh, you should so come over for dinner. I have like a lot of really good single friends. And I was explaining to you like dates I was going out on and stuff. And
Yeah, no, I was actually doing the same thing, but I don't know, I liked you.
Yeah, and I remember we started talking after, and I was like, I just thought it was like a casual thing, and you were like sending me selfies, and I was talking to you.
But wait, in context, I wasn't just like dropping the selfies. In fairness, the reason I actually looked back on the first selfie I sent you, and it was a joke because we were talking about how I was like, oh, I look shitty in the photo, so I sent you all the worst pictures of myself.
I liked it.
But what girl would send the ugliest photos of themselves to someone they like? But I liked you.
The love
and
of
you
my
were
life was.
I know, but you were so fun, and you're like, no, that one doesn't count. And then you would say, okay, then you would laugh at some, and then you'd be like, what were you doing? But then there was one that you'd be like, actually, that's hot.
Did you look back at all of it?
I did. I have, and I did. And they were only horrible pictures. So in my defense, I wasn't being like, hey, here's the cutest picture of myself. Cowboy is my version of Good For You, but now. I don't like to share it a lot, but I'm a very sensual person. And I love, and sometimes I put that into words and it can feel sexy, and I love that feeling.
It's a sexy song. No, it's great. I feel like it's back to a sound that you kind of created. You kind of created this whole like whisper pop melancholy type of thing.
Which I totally respect. People like or dislike, and I totally get that.
And I feel like it's a cool nod back to like where you came from. Yeah, I feel like writing a song is like also being like in therapy. So you can say things. I feel like it's like almost like a safe place. You can say things that you would like never tell a person, let alone like your partner. And it was really cool to.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you could kind of almost say anything. It's like, it's like saying your deepest, darkest secret, but it almost like doesn't count because it's in a song. It was really interesting getting to learn things about you that I'm not sure I'd be able to get out if we were in like a different arena.
Yeah, that was so crazy that while we were doing this album, we just told each other, because mind you, the whole album isn't just about my life, it's about your experiences, our experiences together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when we decided to name the album, it was actually, again, your idea. You had a few ideas that you had texted me, but that one was what stood out for me because it's sweet.
Well, and because it's true.
I know. Yeah, yeah,
She said I love you first.
I did.
How did you name all your other albums?
It actually depended on the song that I felt most connected to, but what's crazy is that my mind changes so often. So it's really an in the moment kind of feeling. Rare. I have so much to say about that. It was the perfect depiction, I think, of where I was in my life. Because I've always been vulnerable, always been honest, whatever, how people take that as a good thing or a bad thing. Rare to me was actually everything I would say. I don't have it all, but I do know that I'm worth it, and I know that I deserve to feel that feeling.
Yeah, and now it became like
Everything,
It's
it's
just
my
like
world.
everything. Yeah, and it is such a
baby.
good. It's one of those things where you're like, fuck, why didn't someone say this sooner? Like, it's like I hear that in a song, and I'd be like, oh, or like as an idea, you know?
I will say, though, there's not a song quite like Who Says. I'm sorry I'm throwing it back, but Rare was a second version of that to me. And that song means so much to me. I was 16, and to this day, if anyone sings it to me, it brings me to tears because I needed that just as much as they did. So to be able to sing that with a group of however thousands of people and saying those words out loud, chanting that no one can tell or define who you are, was the coolest feeling. And
Now-
that's what I got with Rare.
Now, what were you feeling when you did a song like Who Says? Like, were you even thinking like, oh my God, I'm gonna be like a big singer?
No, I don't think that's what I thought. I think that I understood the gravity of the song. Because I remember at the time, the writer was deciding between a few artists. I didn't write that song, but I was 16. I heard the song and I knew the importance of it because of how I felt. So when I heard the song, I remember I kind of asked the writer, I said, this song would mean so much to my fans. That's like the first thing I thought of. And they went with, I just tried it and they went with me, and I was really grateful because I had no idea that it would mean that much to other people as much as it did for me, but I was glad that it happened. But wait, I feel too weird. What about you? How do you name your albums? I actually have never asked you that.
Well, for my own album, obviously I've helped name a lot of albums, for other people, but for myself, honestly, I came up with Friends Keep Secrets, also the name of my label.
Yeah,
Like,
I love that.
I was trying to think of it. I was like, well, what's like a pop punk band? And I was like, I thought like if I came up with a really good pop punk band, I remember I was gonna name my label and all my albums Everybody Gets a Trophy, like like when you're in like soccer. But I was just trying to think of stuff, and it doesn't even really go with my motto because I'm not like a secrets type of guy. But
Really not.
but I think
You're
it's like,
honest all
yeah,
the time.
yeah, I think
Too
it's like
honest.
if you know type of thing. I also like things where it's like, I like naming songs where it's like, not the song title isn't even in the song, or like the album title isn't even a song on the album.
Really?
Yeah. Like Friends Keep Secrets is not a song on any of my albums, or it's like not in any lyrics. And I always like, I don't know, I'm always weird like that. I also like don't love videos when, like music videos when they're lip syncing. Like I like it
What do
better.
you mean?
I like it better when it's not lit. Like if you look, like 90% of my music videos have no lip sync in them.
I guess you're right.
One of our first songs, we did a little video for it at Disneyland because we love Disneyland so much. It's actually one of Selena's like favorite places on earth.
It makes me incredibly happy.
I'm a huge roller coaster fan, not a big teacups fan. You put me on the roller coaster, flip me, dip me, do whatever you want to me.
That's true.
But you put me on the teacups and I'm I'm a shell of a human being.
It was really fun to torture you in that way for a second.
Yeah, she loves to torture me.
I do not.
And she won't leave Disneyland without one of two things. It either has to, actually three. It has to
Yes,
either be a
give my
pickle,
list.
a corn dog, a huge leg of turkey, or all three combined.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to do the three at the same time.
What was our first party we ever went to?
I don't know if this was the first, but it was actually really funny. As a couple, we went to Taylor's party after some award show. I don't know, it was kind of cute, but I was mortified. Apparently cool people don't show up to parties on time.
We're the first people at every single party when I go with you. You like show up when like my mother shows up to a party. No, I thought you were gonna talk about the fact that nobody knew we were dating and we were hiding the fact that we were dating. So we like didn't even like touch each other or like really look at each other because you're like if like a girl came up, if like a girl came up to me or something, you were like, okay. Definitely our best date ever. Well, there's a lot of things competing, but what I think our best day ever is like when we were first dating and we were still keeping it like super secret. I remember I was like, let's go to the Santa Monica Pier. And you were like, we can't go to the Santa Monica Pier. And I was like, well, what if we dress up in disguises?
Which usually never works.
No, but we did like full, because we were so scared of people finding out about us. I remember feeling like having so much fun being with you because we could just fully let go and not worry about anything else. And we like rode the Ferris wheel and we got like,
it was
like
so cute.
Corn dogs and cotton candy and it was so...
I'm not gonna lie, sometimes the disguise thing is so stupid, but in this case it actually worked, which was crazy, but I really didn't care. I was like so happy. I was in a state of ecstasy.
It was amazing.
It was so fun. When I first thought we were on a date, I'm not even kidding. It was like you were sitting right there and I thought it was a date. So I had dressed up and you were here and we kept our, whatever it was, relationship or getting to know each other secret for, not secret, we just kept it in privacy. And this is kind of where we first started connecting. This is where we had our first kiss. It's where we made the album.
I think it's special because we have a little studio set up. It's like so humble, nothing for real. And we go in there and then, you know, we get to go back into our cocoon of our bedroom, think about what we did. Like, it's like, oh, we're in here making a thing. And then it's like, oh, I guess I'll go cook some food. Oh, I guess you're in bed. Oh, I guess you're back. Like, it was one of those things where...
I guess I can say I've never made an album that way.
Yeah, and it was interesting because, you know, sometimes we record vocals late. She would record vocals, then like go to sleep. Then I'd be working on them. Then I'd come wake her up. She'd come back into the room and record them again.
Yeah.
And there was like a comfort to doing it this way.
Yeah, and I feel like we weren't, like at the same time, we weren't down each other's throat about anything. It was like we were talking about everything. So if I had an issue in the studio or, I don't know, I needed your advice or your direction on something, it was so nice to be able to just text you and you'd be there. But I felt really comfortable, probably too comfortable making this album.
Yeah, it's crazy.
At a house.
I just feel like your guard is down when you're in a house. It's different. You're not like in a studio and they're like, hey, let me take your order. Like, you're in a house, your guard's down. We had our friends come over to make the album. We weren't thinking like, oh my God, like this album is, I didn't even know anyone was gonna hear this at first. I just thought it was a good idea and exercise to try to do. And you don't typically like people in the room while you're doing your set.
No, so I will be honest, the first time, I don't like being in the room until like I started getting more comfortable towards the end. But that's only because it's so weird. It's such a weird thing to be. It's almost really vulnerable. I don't know.
It's the most vulnerable.
Yeah, then it was nothing. Then it was great. But yes, we'd get up in the morning, we'd have conversation. But our conversation was never led going, what are we gonna write in the album? It was very like, this is on my mind. Like, what is that? How does that make you feel, kind of thing?
Yeah, I felt like your personal journal. I was just constantly like,
Well, you are.
yeah, I was constantly
For
just
life.
writing whatever you said wherever we were. Sometimes you'd be saying something like really important, and I would like, I didn't know if you even realized, but I would like always open my phone. I'd be like, fuck, that's such a good line for a song.
I did notice, but I also was very like, you know me, I can just like sit there and talk. So it didn't bother me, if that's what you're asking.
You know, I want to talk about Bluest Flame. It's one of those songs where like you immediately feel like you're in a basement, the walls are sweating, it's 4:30 in the morning. Somehow you're kind of sad, but you're happy, it's euphoric. We got to work with Charlie on this song, and she has such an amazing way of putting you just like in an immediate zone. And it's cool because we, you know, one of our first songs, like probably like 11 years ago or
Yeah.
10 years ago, was Same Old Love, and we did that with Charlie too. And
Yeah,
you know,
to me, this whole song is Charlie. I just feel like Charlie has this way of having a hypnotic, kind of like really like crazy, cool feeling. And that's what I feel like this song was. It's like a fever dream.
yeah, it's you know, we wanted to have the first half of it be like this sweet, euphoric, like almost melancholy tone, and then all of a sudden it switches and you're like, oh, where's my drink? I'm in the fucking club.
Mind you, I don't remember the last time I've stayed up till 4:30.
That's true.
That's when I wake
That's
up.
when she wakes up. More so than anything else in the world, this isn't like an album where I had any expectation, because it's something we got to do together that was for us. And as a byproduct of who we both are, other people get to listen to this album, and that's like really cool. And I hope it inspires people to feel a certain way about themselves or their partners. But like all in all, the best part about it was just being able to spend time and make something that I love with the person I love.
Yeah, it's very sweet, babe.
Sunset Boulevard was interesting because it's like one of my favorite songs on the
Same.
album. You know, you take a song like Scared of Loving You. That's like you're giving yourself to someone, you're fucking petrified because now you're finally in the place where you're gonna be with them, and you're like, fuck, I don't wanna fully lose myself in this because I'm scared I'm gonna get hurt again. I'm scared I'm scared like this person's gonna leave me at some point, and all your insecurities pop out. And then with Sunset Boulevard, it's like, fuck, I'm letting go, I'm free falling. It's like that moment when you start to free fall into love, and you're just like, it's the best feeling in the world. You feel like you're about to get like kind of hit by a car, so you get that like feeling in your chest, and it's just like bliss, and like nothing can take you out, nothing can stop you. Our first date was on Sunset Boulevard at a place called Jitlada. If you haven't been, you should go. It's
Very
delicious.
good. Yeah, I think it's one of my favorites because of that.
Yeah, and it's just like, kind of feels like you're just like spinning around, and it's really one of those songs where it's just like you're in like the best phase of puppy love. You know what's insane to me?
What?
Is that
Do you love me?
I do love you. No, we're both such terrible drivers.
Yeah.
And our
Let's
first
start
date
the video.
was actually,
Then I have a question for you. Speaking of our first date that wasn't a date,
yeah.
why would you decide to take me in this car?
No, I just love this car, and I don't get to drive it enough. And I was like, oh wow, we can just.
See, I totally misinterpreted that. I thought you were like, look how cool this is.
It is cool.
It is cool.
Didn't you think it was cool?
Yes.
You literally texted me right after what I didn't know was our first date, and you said,
Because it was hilarious.
you said, I've had the best time I've had in years. I can't even remember having a time this good.
You're like blowing up my spot.
Were you excited the first date?
Yeah.
You were? What was going through your head? Oh my God, I can't believe
No, I actually
I get
just...
to sit next to this hunk. Even the first one though?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I thought you were so fun.
I knew right after we kissed, I was like, oh wow, I'm probably gonna marry this person.
You're so sweet.
Well, I didn't say marry, but I was like, I'm probably gonna have a baby with this person.
That's so cute. Well, I guess we'll release this album, let the world hear our little baby. And I don't know. I want to spend the rest of my life with you, babe.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
I just almost crashed the car.
Why, you still don't believe it?
Hey, yeah, I'm excited. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Okay, wait. Let's switch things up. Younger and Hotter Than Me.
Younger and Hotter is a song, kind of beginning of the whole process is I fell in love with a line. All of the girls at these parties are younger and hotter than me, and I hate what I wore. That to me was just a genius line. I'm giving Finn and you credit for that. And from there, I loved how it expanded into there's always something shinier, there's always something newer, there's always gonna be someone younger. It's just more of a, like there's a transition that happens in your life. I think the video explains a lot of what I'm talking about. I can be stuck in a season of my life and feel so weird that it's changing. But at the same time, it's like I've lost myself in so many different things, and it just goes back to feeling vulnerable. I don't feel that way necessarily.
You know, I'm going to talk about you for a second because, you know, you take a song like Younger and Hotter Than Me, and you've had such a unique life that one in a billion people have. And it's, you know, you started your career at 7 years old, okay? And, you know, at the beginning when you're on TV and you're this a kid star that everyone wants a piece of, you're this shiny new toy, and then, you know, a few years later, a new person comes along and they're like, oh, this is our toy, and then a new person, and it's, oh, this is, and then you finish your series, you finish shows, and you're kind of left in this spot where you're like, okay, well, now I'm about to be an adult, so where do I go from here?
Yeah, where do I fit in?
Yeah, where do you fit in? And, you know, you're so confident, but you
Sometimes.
But at the end of the day, you're a human. So, and I think that's what makes you so relatable. And this song just embodies that, and how hard it is to be not only in your position, but a woman in general, and nitpicked by so many different people. I think it's just like a display of like who you are, where you've been, where you're going, and everything all in one to show that you aren't this perfect person, but that's what makes you perfect in a way, at least to me.
Well, I appreciate that. I think anytime I release anything, the interpretation is going to be up to the audience. However, I would like to say most of this album has nothing to do with what everyone may go to. And I think it's important for me to say that because I've evolved so much and I have experienced life with new people. I've had to go through transitions with friends and lose people in my life and gain new people, and I've had a whole new life forever. So it's up for whatever people want, but to me it was about both of our past and our history, and also just inspired by friends and relationships. Like some songs were actually meant about friendships in my life, and I think that's what, to me, the album was about, and I just wanted to get that out there because that was very important to me.
I think the best part about music is a song that you may have written in a moment about something is completely perceived as something else to everybody who's listening to it. I mean, I still get the feeling when I'm listening to songs and I like look out the window and I act like I'm in the music video, and it's just, and you listen to it at a certain time in your life, so it holds different meaning. And I think that's the best part about music, is how it can move people in such different directions. With this album, you know, it's about past, future, present, and it's cool to see the evolution throughout the album, because it's like the album opens up and it was actually the last speech Selena ever gave on the set of Wizards of Waverly Place, and she's talking about how she hopes she makes everyone proud, and it's very emotional. And then it goes right into Younger and Hotter Than Me, which kind of like undresses that whole situation and shows you what's, you know, really happening. And then it moves all the way around to, you know, to songs like Scared of Loving You, but also songs like, you know, Don't Want to Cry, and like where you're like in a moment in time and you feel like sometimes you feel frozen, you feel stuck, and sometimes and then in other moments you in the album you're like, you get that release of like Bluest Flame where you're just like, oh, now like I can party in my life and I can, and you know, it's kind of like there's a little mania going throughout it because it's going through all the different,
a little bit.
Yeah, all the different shades of a human and the range of motion, and you know, it all meets together at the end where it's just like love is the thing that's going to be the glue and bring us back together.
Yeah. I was 17 when I ended, about 18, and I ended Wizards of Waverly Place, and that was one of the most emotional days of my life, because that's where I started. Those are my people, and I love them. But it was an end of a very interesting chapter in my life, for sure.
Yeah,
and that's weird to let that go.
And I feel like this started as like the beginning of a new chapter in our lives.
The biggest challenge so far on my end has been what's happened while the album is ending. It has been so stressful for me personally. It's one of those feelings where I feel like I'm holding on, and then I'm holding on really tight, and it's about to be released, and I'm like, wait, I don't know if I'm ready for it to be out. And
yeah, I feel that. It's like, you know, you make a whole thing, and it's a very unique situation being an artist or producer. You have this whole thing that nobody knows about or even hears, and then all of a sudden the whole world gets to hear it at the same time. And it's like you're letting all your little babies go into the world. And I think the biggest challenge for me was the temperature you like to keep the studio. It was so
wow, I was ready for some real
hot.
like deep answer.
It was so unbelievably hot in the studio.
Yeah, why do you think I'm in the sun right now?
Yeah,
This
unbelievably
feels
hot.
incredible.
I recorded this thing in a sauna.
I'm sorry, I love the heat.
Biggest challenge.
Well, at this point, maybe you have heard it, maybe you're about to hear it.
We had a great time making it. Hopefully you like it. If you don't,
That's okay.
you can play something else. If you do like it, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
you
for
having
coming.
us.
Yeah, thanks for coming to our house. Now, get the fuck out.